To continue our series for everything related to Roots of War, today we're going to be talking about infantry and the talent trees related to them because I think infantry in Roots of War, especially, are going to be pretty much the game changer for any strategy for it, whether to fail or succeed. What is up, guys? Meower here, back with a brand new Call of Dragons video. Before we get started, this will be the second part of the series of videos that I have planned out for everything related to Roots of War, from talents of commanders, pairings, strategies, artifacts, and special tips and tricks as well. One thing I also want to emphasize on is that the map is very tiny and it's full of chokeholds. So some builds in the Roots of War are gonna work better than they would be normally in the land of Tamaris. So I really want to emphasize on that part because as you can see, the map here is full of choke points, it's full of bridges, it's full of tiny passings. So it's gonna be very condensed fighting places. So with that cleared up, I want to get started on today's video with the infantry. Of course, do drop a like, don't forget to subscribe, it really helps me out, and tell me your thoughts on the builds that I am about to present. I really want to have some conversations with you guys about these builds, and I want to share, I want to hear your opinions, because maybe you guys will figure out a better build than I can, so I can update the guide as well and pretty much help everyone. That being said, let's get started. So, we're gonna be starting with the mommy of Call of Dragons, Big Mommy Madeline, one of my favorite commanders in the game. We're gonna be discussing the build I think would be best for her, which is gonna emphasize on the tank tree. Okay, and the reason why I'm gonna be emphasizing on the tank tree is because in this mode, especially for infantry, I believe their role will pretty much be taking as much punishment as possible and trying to survive as much as possible. So anything that boosts stats, anything that decreases damage taken, anything that increases survivability will be the best. Okay, we don't need to deal damage with infantry in this mode. So any build I'm gonna present is gonna be heavily emphasized and being as tanky as possible to try to survive these narrow gaps and frontline as much as possible for your allies in order to move in and try take as much map control as possible. So now that that's been cleared up, let's get started on the build. For this build, I was pretty torn between specking towards the infantry tree or specking towards the tank tree, but I feel like the tank tree is gonna be more superior, especially for the open field of Roots of War. So we're gonna go for overall attack, we're gonna go for overall defense, the classic 10 talent points. We're gonna go for the tank tree this time. We're gonna put 2 points in March speed, 3 points in taking less counterattack damage. We don't need any skill damage because Madeline doesn't really deal that much skill damage. Anyways, we're gonna take encouraging dance. We're gonna put 3 points there and 2 points in all conquering. We don't need heaven's blessing because Madeline doesn't really heal at all. So we're gonna put. I think I said 3 points in encouraging dance. I kind of forgot. Anyway, we're gonna go for unyielding spirit because we want to take as much less damage as possible. And well, 10 seconds is absolutely nothing for an infantry march that just wants to survive in the field as much as possible. Of course, next up we're gonna go for HP. HP, of course, is the most valuable stat in the game. Here there is a defense counterpart to it, but we would like to get as much HP as possible in order to survive for as long as possible. We're going to go for solid shield to increase the shield that we receive by 5%. And then you have two options here, either go for Hearts of Iron, which synergizes so much with your infantry's skill that makes them get increased defense, or you can go for vitality, but personally I'm gonna go for Hearts of Iron because what I am gonna be pairing Madeline with in Roots of War is that I'm gonna be pairing her with Garwood. So this talent is gonna be useless for me. Okay, next up we have infantry's defense. Well, we're gonna have egoism, of course, we're going to take 4 points in egoism and take 1 point here for the extra march speed, 3% here, 4% here, a total of 3 points that gives us more than 6% that have been spent here. Next up, we're not gonna go for adrenaline rush. We're gonna go for assassins in waiting, just so we can reposition much quicker. So we're gonna put 4 points here. We're gonna put 1 point here, and then we're gonna go for cold headed probably, just to gain shelter. And then for the very last point, you have three main options. You can either put another point here in encouraging dance, you can put another point in infantry speed, or you can finish up. You can take another point in all conquering. Personally, I'm just gonna go for the extra point of infantry speed, just so we can reposition better, maneuver better, and try to get to the front lines as fast as possible. Okay, this is the build that I will be personally running for Roots of War. Of course, if I feel like some talents need adjustment, I'll more than gladly adjust it. So what I focused on, or what I'm going to be focusing on for most infantry, is that I'm going to treat it exactly like a tank, and I think this will be pretty much the exact build for Garwood as well, with some minor changes. That's it for Madeline. Next up for Nika. For Nika, I honestly don't know what build I should go for her, but personally, I think I'm gonna go for the skill tree route, which I think this build is like the best for her right now. I don't think Nika should ever be primary for infantry in general, but if you have no other options, I think this build pretty much complements everything that she needs. Gives her as much damage as possible, because if you're going to be running Nika as your primary, that means you don't have Madeline, that means you don't have Garwood. So it's going to be Nika, and you're going to pair her with Bakhar, so you want to deal as much damage as possible. So I think this build is pretty much perfect for her. Okay, and of course, you can also go for this build. This is the build I run for her on the live game. Peacekeeping not recommended, and infantry is not recommended either. That is it for Nika. Wait, let me select this so it's gone. Where is it? Yeah, this one. Okay. And next up, we got our boy Garwood, which I think is gonna be super strong for the Roots of War, for a few reasons. Okay, I mentioned earlier that the map is going to be tiny, so you want to have as much survivability as possible. And what does Garwood provide? A lot of survivability. Pairing that with the sheer amount of passages that there is in the map, and the amount of healing he does, the amount of damage reduction he has, and the amount of just punishment he can take, it's pretty much a no-brainer to run him on this map. I'm even gonna 5-star here, just 5-star him, just to get that extra 5% attack resistance, since it stacks with everyone else that's paired in the march. And I can even see if I can try to awaken him before Thursday, since that is the day where it comes out. So we're gonna be building him relatively similar to Madeline, but with a little twist. Okay, since Garwood is a garrison commander, and there's going to be a lot of garrisons happening in Roots of War, we want to try to make him as tanky as possible. And usually, I would personally recommend running him as the garrison lead, with Madeline Paradise as secondary instead of Madeline Nika. And the reason for that is that we want to stall as much time as possible for the counterattack rally to go in. If you have no availability to put in a counterattack rally, especially in a map such as Roots of War, you're pretty much lost that zone to begin with, right? So, or even if you just want to stall as much time as possible and try to have as much survivability as possible. So we're gonna go for overall attack, we're going to spec into defense, we're going to be specking into overall health, and we're going to go for shield of stability. Do note, if you plan on using Garwood, he should rarely ever be your primary unless you're going to be running it with Eliana Garwood, which is the Eligar build. That's pretty much meant for merit farming and such, and trying to survive as much as possible. I wouldn't recommend him being primary, since you have only an option to select talent trees only once. You don't have an option to switch talent trees once the battle has begun. So you want to be as much as tanky as possible. So we're gonna go for having him as the garrison captain. If you are a garrison lead, of course. If you're not, then you can just run this build pretty much. This is, of course, only if you are running. Wait, no, this build is awful. What? Scratch that, don't run this build. This build is awful. What? Why would you ever have hero skill damage in the. What? Anyway, okay, ignore what I said, ignore that last minute. We're gonna go for overall defense. We're gonna take plus counterattack damage. We're gonna put 1 point here, and then we're gonna go for the increased healing received, and then we're gonna go for unyielding spirit. Of course, unyielding spirit is always the far more superior option than impregnable defense. And then now we have two options here. Okay, you can either go for Cool Hellet, so specking into the infantry tree as our secondary, or go for more of Hearts of Iron, go for Vitality, which kind of increases healing even more, or Hearts of Iron that makes you even more tanky. Do note this is since this is for garrisons, meaning I don't really need encouraging dance that much because it will mostly be strictly a 1v1. And this talent really shines in value when you're being hit from multiple sources. So if you're being hit from only one source, this talent kind of loses value versus a talent such as increasing the heal overall that you provide, which will paired with here, both of them do stack, I believe. So we're going to go for infantry defense. We're going to take egoism. We're going to take Heaven's Blessing, and then we're going to go for Cool Headed. This is, of course, the garrison lead for Roots of War. So let's just name this Garrison. Okay, this is the garrison build. And now for the open field build. For the open field build, I will go for attack, defense, and HP, shield of stability, overall defense, 3 points here, 2 points here, 2 points here, 3 points here. Also, all conquering is also a great alternative, but the extra healing is just far more valuable since it synergizes so well with his kit. Unyielding Spirit, of course, HP is the no-brainer option here. We never want to sacrifice HP at all if we have an ability to get it, since HP is always the best option. Here we have two options. Okay, we can either go for Solid Shield if you know for 100% you're going to be pairing him with Madeline or Eliana, since both of them provide shields. So having Solid Shield is always better. Okay, or if you know you're not going to be pairing it with Madeline or Eliana, then I will go for Cloaked Wrath. But since I know I'm going to be pairing him with Madeline or Eliana, I'm going to go for Solid Shield. And then, of course, Hearts of Iron. Here, we're going to go for Infantry Defense. 2 points here. 3 points here. We want to get 3 points here. 2 points here. And then, of course, we're going to go for Cool Headed. And then for our final point, we're going to go for the... Which one should we go for our final point? We can just get this in general, just to have that extra rage ticking every time we do a normal attack. And that would be our build for the open field. Open field. And I want to reiterate, if you are running him with Madeline or Nika, take this. If you're not, take fully in this, and then put that extra point in one of the march speeds, or into egoism, or into all conquering. Okay, that is the Garwood build. And now for the Eliana build, which is pretty much classified as an infantry commander at this point. We're going to be building her relatively similar to Garwood. I think running her as sort of a supporty march would be best. I don't usually run Eliana as my primary as much. The only difference from here is that I would just sort of replace the defense one with the two. Actually, since this is the support tree, yeah, getting more HP is much better. Extra healing is always welcome. I would replace the extra healing with Punisher though, and then Spirited Response and Guardian Angel. Nope, I would replace. Well, actually, no. Looks like we're gonna have to make our own talent tree. Can't take the lazy way out of this. They really need to improve these talent trees overall. HP, we're gonna take the support tree as our primary, since this build heavily emphasizes on her being a support team March. We're gonna take the increased healing. Of course, only run Eliana as a primary if you know you're gonna put Garwood as her secondary. We want to take all conquering. I'm gonna put 3 points in all conquering and 2 points here. We're gonna take force field, of course, no brainer. We're gonna take the shrink. We want to be as tanky as possible. Normally I would be putting this here, but well, the support tree is so bad. Guess the flat damage taken is much more valuable than any of these options. And then we're gonna go for egoism. And of course, I will go for Punisher. And then we're gonna take the overall tree as our secondary. We'll take overall defense here, 2 points on overall speed, and then we're gonna go for. I guess it's just Legion capacity at this point, since none of these two are very valuable. Then we have Spirited Response, and the very last point we're gonna be putting into the increased healing. This tree is so bad. I don't like the I don't like the idea of having Eliana as a primary anyways. Should never do that in general. And next up we got our boy Bakhar. Bakhar is gonna be relatively similar to his build as Nika. Um I haven't even touched him since I don't really use him that much, but his build is gonna be relatively similar to Nika, like a hybrid tanky nuker that relies heavily on skill damage. So if you're going to be running Bakhar primary, you should definitely pair him with Nika. Otherwise, run anyone else's as primary. We're going to take 3 points into hero skill damage, 2 points in overall HP, high spirits here, boiling blood, unquenchable will. Now we got some options, but we're just going to go for a crit build, crit based build. Um, and then we're going to go for Raged Animal, Caged Animal. We're going to go for infantry defense. We're going to put 3 points here, 2 points here, and then go all in here and put 1 point here, and then finally we're going to go for this one. And for our last point, we're going to put an encouraging dance. That is for the Openfield Bakhar build. I know the infantry trees might not be as OP as you might have expected, but that's because infantry commanders are like really specific and have a really certain niche for them to fill. So, in my opinion, the top infantry commanders in this mode are going to be Madeline Garwood, pretty much. I think those two are going to be the go to infantry commanders, and I will be releasing a tier list after I have my round on Thursday for the best commanders, in my opinion, from what I've seen and what I've experienced and whatnot. And that's pretty much everything related to the infantry commanders when it comes to their talents. I will make a separate video for artifacts, of course, but for now, this is just for purely infantry. Of course, guys, if you like content like this, please be sure to drop a like. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Meow meow.